A week later, I'm at a gas station and I meet a quote unquote homeless guy, asked me for money. I said, you have more money than me. And he said, change your mindset, change your life. Boom. That one phrase right there.
Life is all about relationships. Lovers, family, body, or money. How satisfied you are can be completely explained by how you relate to things around you. This is Sophie Jaffe, and together with my husband, Dr. Adi Jaffe, we are here to explore and teach you how to maximize your relationships and achieve a happier life. Let's get ignited.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Ignited Relationship Podcast. I'm Adi Jaffe, and Sophie's not here today. I apologize. I know some of you right now are upset by that. I am too. She went to the East Coast. She's hanging out with the kids at the beach. And so I'm going to do this one solo for you. And I'm going to keep the format the same because, you know, it's your Wednesday. I don't want to mess with your Wednesday. So we'll start out by the review of the week. This one by Mayday Stay, and it's titled All the Stars. I discovered Ignited during the hardest time in my life, and I will always be grateful for the peace and hope that it gave me. I continue to be inspired by each episode and guest, and of course, Sophie and Adi as well. The times I felt so alone, it was as if I had two friends in my corner, even though I don't know them at all. Thank you so much for the work you both are doing. XOXO. Well, thank you, Mayday. Thank you for the review and the rating. And, you know, this is literally the reason why we started the podcast, was because we knew other people were going through pain, were going through challenges, and they needed some help and support. And we felt like our friends and the conversations we end up having with a lot of them could provide that. And so happy that it landed for you and that this helps. And I hope that it'll continue to do that. I think today's guest will absolutely not disappoint on that front. This month's theme, we just did adventure. This month's theme is going to be framily, friends and family. And we have some pretty amazing content already planned for the month. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to interview some of my family members so we can hear from the other side of the equation. You've heard the story that Sophie and I have told about our lives. What does it seem like from the other side? Sophie's going to talk to some mothers and people who are building families or have already done so. And then we're going to go deep on the role of these relationships, the families and the people that make up our real close-knit network. I can't wait for this month. I hope you're excited to be part of that. You know, we talk a lot about change because Garrain and I share a pretty similar story in some aspects to our lives and where life has taken us. And you'll hear about that in a minute. And he has this quote that has gotten him really excited and really motivated and has allowed him to get where he is today. And somebody else gave it to him, but he says, the quote was, change your mindset, change your life. And it's powerful. And it reminds me of a different quote, a Rumi quote that says, when I was young, I was clever and I wanted to change the world. Today I'm wise, so I'm changing myself. You know, in whatever moment you were struggling, Mayday, and kind of had the hardest time in your life, I hope you've now reached the point after that incredibly difficult time where you realize through self-introspection and examination that so much of that difficulty oftentimes comes from us not listening to that inner voice, that voice inside that tells us what is working and what isn't. Right? We fight it so much because, how do I say this? Because there's so much noise. We fight it so much because we keep being told by others, by companies like Adidas and Nike and Coca-Cola, by friends, by family, by social media, right? Instagram followers, Instagram influencers that we follow. We keep being told what is good for us. And there can be a lot of good information. I mean, if you think about it, this podcast is a little bit about that. I hope that part of what it also does at the same time for you is remind you, though, that everything we talk about are ideas. They're, it's called Ignited. This is supposed to spark, oh, you like that pun? Spark your own ability to have introspection and think about what works for you. This is not gospel, right? None of the people that we talk to are gods. We've all gone through our own trials and tribulations to get to the place we're at right now. And we've come up with the tools, the tips, the tricks, the rituals, the experiences, the understanding, the perspectives that landed us where we are. And I hope that for you, there's power in that. Garrain talks about the experiences he had in life that brought him to his knees. And one of the biggest differences between what brought him to his knees and what brought him back up is really his perception and his perspective on what he needs to do. I think I've talked about this book before. There's this book by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, Extreme Ownership, that I'm really into. I finish it by now, but it really talks about how we all own our reality. Now, we don't control the universe. The stars will keep moving no matter what you do and do what they do. And at the same time, you live in your own container, right? In this body that within it creates the consciousness that you live through. And we get to decide on what we do with that. I had a client here just yesterday, and we had a very existential, very deep conversation about the meaning of life. And what was upsetting him was that in the end, all of our experiences, all the love we feel, all the excitement, all the joy is really just chemicals in and out of our brain. They don't mean anything by themselves. And I said, that's true. And it's always been true, right? Plato and Aristotle, the biggest philosophers in the world, it was also true for them. All the thoughts they had were just chemicals going in and out of different neurons in their brain. But what if once you see behind the curtain, we just had another episode on that. Once you see behind the curtain and you understand that there's really no wizard, that you are just this collection of cells and chemicals, what if you start using that knowledge to your advantage? And then you can create a world that serves you, because that's all we're really doing. So whether you're listening to the Bruce Lipton episode or some of our own musings, some of my Friday episodes, or today's episode with Garrain, pay attention to what beliefs, what perspectives in your life are keeping you stuck. And that's not to say that you didn't have experiences that got you here. You didn't have traumas. You didn't have difficult moments that changed your world and altered your path to bring you here. But how do we take accountability? How do we take control of that life and move forward? And, my favorite part about recording this podcast is the people that we get to meet. Period, point blank. It's just unfathomable that we didn't know all these people, right? We've known like a third of these people before we started the podcast, but having the podcast is so beautiful. And Garrain is one of those people. You can just feel the joy, feel the excitement that he has for life now. And it all centers around this very basic concept, this very basic principle. Change your perspective, change your life. So I'm going to dive into this. We took a long time with him. Plus Sophie's not here, so I can't bounce things off of her, and it's just not as fun. I just want to remind you of some of the things that are happening in the Ignited universe so that you know what to do, because we love you, you love us. Let's share as much as we can. So obviously, I want to remind you of the Ignited annual event, the first of its kind that is happening here in LA the week of October the 14th. And it's going to take almost a whole week, although the main event is the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of that week. Tickets will be going on sale, maybe even by the time this episode goes up. If it does, we will have links in the show notes. There'll be early bird prices for those of you who are bigger fans and want to join, and there will even be a VIP version for those of you who want to have lunches and dinners with us and the other amazing speakers we're going to have. All of our friends will be there. It's going to be incredible. We might even record some podcast episodes there. Who knows? So that's happening. That's really important. Secondly, we still have a couple of spots open for the Save Your Marriage High Intensity Program. This is the one where Sophie and I take 5 couples and over 6 months give you everything we have to literally save your marriage, right? We've never offered something like this. We've never had the time, but we're taking the time to help 5 couples. There's a lot. It's a commitment. But if you're in one of those places where you're engaged and really struggling, you don't know if you're going to make it to the wedding, or you're married and you're pretty sure that you're heading like a kamikaze pilot into the ocean or the ground, and you're going to blow up and get divorced. If you're in one of those situations, but you understand the fuck shame and the radical transparency components of what it is we do here, this program is for you. So there's an application online. I think it's a bit.ly address. We'll put it down here. Check it out, apply, and we'll set up a call with you to talk and see if you're a good fit for this. And, just remember, when you listen to these episodes, when you listen to the messages we're sending off, remember, this is about you creating the life that you want, taking whatever the circumstances are where you are right now and changing them so that you can be happy, you can have joy, you can experience the sort of life you deserve and not necessarily the sort of life you've ended up having up until this moment. Love you all so much. Check out Garrain right here in a few minutes. He's amazing and incredible. Go follow him. Screenshot this, tag us and him, and tell us what you love the most. Love you all. See you in a minute.
This episode of the Ignited podcast is brought to you by Philosophy Superfoods. The Philosophy offers cleanses and other nutritional products that are unlike any of the other supplements and detoxification programs on the market. Why? Because they actually nourish the body with whole, live, nutrient-rich foods instead of depriving you and leaving you hungry. Have you ever tried a cleanse only to find out that you can't make it through a whole day because you're starving? Ever try a superfood shake that made you nauseous because it was so disgusting you'd rather not eat? The Philosophy fix all that with a simple set of offerings that load up your body with nutrients while actually tasting good. Makes sense, right? Each of the Philosophy superfood and protein blends is vegan, raw, gluten-free, and has absolutely no filler ingredients. With over 15,000 satisfied customers, including some of the world's biggest celebrities like George Clooney, Gerard Butler, Lea Michele, and over 10 years of experience, this is the best stuff you can get. To buy some or find out more info, go to our website, thephilosophy.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back to our little conversation segment here today. We got a really, really interesting guest I share a little bit in common with, so I'm kind of looking forward to that part of the conversation. But Garrain, if you had to tell me about something amazing you learned this week, what would it be?
This might throw a lot of people off, but I learned that the, what is it called? The ramen noodle cup?
Yeah.
That the noodles don't go all the way to the bottom. It's only 2 inches thick. And then when you pour the water in, the water,
makes
the
it expand
from the water makes the noodles expand. And I didn't know that because when I went down the rabbit hole in YouTube and I was like, things that you've never known, you've been lied to. I'm like, what? So that's
mind blown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're done.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing up. My friends in college, my friends in college bought like the cases of those.
It's like Costco version.
Yeah, like they would buy 5 to 10 cases
for $5.
For like $5 a case.
It's like a month's
and they
worth.
would just live off of that.
You know what I found out? I found out because I'm like a research junkie. I found out that little sodium packet, when you put that on the noodles, in the top 10 most unhealthiest, worst foods to eat, it's number 8.
Wow.
And I'm not joking.
Like not even the whole ramen
it's the
thing.
Sodium
like
in the packet.
Yeah, it's like, it's
MSG.
It is just probably just a packet of MSG.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else in it. Yeah. Love it. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad I learned that today.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Yep.
See y'all later.
We're going to go eat some ramen.
Are we though? Really?
No.
I love ramen, but I love like really well prepared ramen.
Yeah.
Welcome to our humble abode.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for rolling up. You rolled up on 2 wheels. I like 2 wheels.
No
Right,
traffic.
he's here in the middle of our beginning of our moving madness. We have like boxes in the front. It's all like we're in the transition.
He was asking if we just moved here. I was like, no, we're actually in the process of hopefully moving out.
Yeah, but we're in this place where we're like, there's no reason to unpack that new pottery.
I've been there so
because
many
we're
times. Yeah.
potentially leaving in 2.5 weeks. But
Yeah.
are we? We are.
We are.
It's that whole like
Manifestation.
I know
Yes.
exactly what you're talking about.
We're manifesting. So I alluded to this earlier, but you've had an interesting life.
Yeah.
And we talked about even the fact that your name is already like an interesting start. Maybe we can start there because it's kind of one of those stories that people don't talk about a lot, but probably happens to more people than we imagine. So I asked you what the origin of the name Garrain is, and you had a story about it.
So, so my mom's name is Sherian, Sherian. She named me originally Garrain. The doctor spelled it wrong, and she couldn't afford to change it. And so I spent a portion of my life thinking I was a mistake because my name was a mistake.
Like I was supposed to be Garrain, I got spelled Garrain. I'm not even important enough to have my name be right.
Yeah. So just when you have a come from of I'm a mistake and that's your foundation, anything you put on top of the foundation of I'm a mistake is destined to like crumble. And so
I got 5 clients who I want to pause, rewind. You know that button on iTunes, rewind 15 seconds. Rewind 15 seconds, listen to that last sentence again. Sorry. That's such a common mistake that people have. Like, I'm not worthy. And then everything else takes on a black tint.
I mean, you imagine this house right now, like we can all jump up and down. If it was a faulty foundation, it would absolutely crumble. So if I'm not worthy is the root of impact of your life and you build on top of that, everything that you're building is from the I'm not worthy context.
100%.
Yeah. And so I had somebody just enlighten me. They're like, I'm having one of those days where I'm like, I'm a mistake. They're like, listen, the world's greatest phenomena that has ever been invented were all created from mistakes. In that moment, boom, light bulb.
Love
and
it.
I was like, no, I'm the world's greatest invention.
You're like your own version of penicillin.
Absolutely.
Love it. You're like an antibiotic. You just saved I don't know how many lives. I love it. That's amazing. So I think the reason I wanted to open with that is because you and I talked about it a little, we touched on it in the beginning, and 7 years ago is when you had that conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
And up until kind of that moment, if I'm following the trajectory of what I know about you, life sucked in general.
Right.
So what was life like before that time?
Well, you can't see the picture while you're in the frame. It's not until I connect the dots looking back on my life. Life sucked. I know that now because I'm doing everything I want to do and how I want to do it and with the people I want to do it with. But back then, I thought everybody lived like that.
Me too.
Just growing up in a household where we can't afford it. We don't have any money. We don't have any money. Never hearing things like, I'm proud of you. You're important. You matter. And then seeing other people's parents say that to their kids, all of a sudden, my natural reaction is, I'm not worthy.
I don't matter.
I don't matter.
Other people get told this shit. I don't.
Absolutely.
I must not matter.
Absolutely. So just growing through that life, and my mother was always at work, and my brother was at the time too cool to hang out with me. The only kids who older brother, 4 years older. The only kids who accepted me were the kids that were getting in trouble all the time, and I would that's my childhood domestication. I would do whatever they were doing, whether it was breaking into cars, breaking into houses, and not feeling anything about it. So if you can imagine a child learning the ABCs, and when you compound on the ABCs, you can sing, dance, and all these different things because of that formula. Well, imagine a child that's domesticated with, I'm not worthy, I don't matter. Trouble is the only thing that brings me celebration and love. I continue
attention,
that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Man, I mean, such a powerful thing to recognize about yourself in hindsight. And it sounds like part of that started for you when somebody even said, as simple as your name, like you keep thinking that because your name got screwed up.
Oh, absolutely.
You're a mistake. Mistakes are not a bad thing. Mistakes are opportunities to learn. Mistakes is how we discover some of the most amazing things that we've ever discovered in the world.
Yeah.
And right around this time, I mean, we talked about how you grew up, but you ended up like homeless.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just the compound effect of, like I said, you learn something and you keep on doing it over and over and over. You'll be a master at whatever it is that you do over and over and
Totally.
over. The trouble the kid who didn't love himself and the trouble. Life doesn't get better by change. It's by chance. It gets better by like you actually seeking to change.
100%.
I wasn't seeking to change, so I just kept doing it over and over and over. I lived in Missouri City, Texas, where it's very slow and people talk really slow, and moved my slow thinking process to New York and Los Angeles. So it was like fast, 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 fast. I couldn't make it there. So coming to Los Angeles, and I couldn't make it in Los Angeles because my processing wasn't catching on.
Got it.
Then I'm like, how do I keep up with these people?
What did you move to LA, New York for? What were you looking for?
I just knew I needed to since I was a little kid, I knew that I didn't belong here. I dressed different. I talked different. I was talking about, I feel like we're not the only ones here on this, in this universe, galaxy. People are like, why are you so strange?
Right.
And I just knew, and I just felt like going to Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's like a normal conversation on Melrose at Earth Cafe.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you would find understanding.
Yeah. So when I moved and I came to Los Angeles, I was like, yo, I'm not an alien. There's other people who, I won't say think like me, but they're open-minded. They dress with how they want to dress. There's like different, just whatever. There was so much more openness here, and I felt more at home here than any time I ever felt at home. So moving here, I was like, yo, I feel like people are accepting me, got involved in a lot of things. You should do this, you should do that, going here and there. And I just never really found my voice, my place. And I was just, I had this context of, I want to do things so people will, I was seeking people's approval.
Right.
So whether it's the Hollywood crowd, the music crowd, the acting crowd, the modeling crowd, I was like, if they're focused on that, then I'll be that. And I was being everything else but myself, and that's when I started losing myself.
Isn't that interesting? Like the desire to fit in, quote unquote.
Yeah.
To fit into a box, to a mold, to what other people are doing and wearing and being and feeling and singing. And like we have this desire. I mean, I see inklings of it still in myself as a 35-year-old mom of 3, but like there's still there, that desire to fit in. But that's not where the answers are.
Right.
The answers are not in that. It's in holding your own and finding your footing and your grounding. And then the things that will fit into your world will come. But it's all you pushing yourself to mold to someone else is never going to make you feel on a deep level in your gut to feel like you're fitting in.
And that can be so hard when you grow up being told you have a problem. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You're not whatever enough. You can't get this. You can't get that. You can't have what you desire. Sometimes we shut down, as kids, we shut down that internal voice that I even deserve to have those things or that I could, because the answer keeps being no. Maybe that's the answer forever.
So I have this this analogy that I always share with people to help them, that supports them in understanding why life could be so difficult now. So if you can imagine a little kid, and the dog gets in the neighbor's yard, and the neighbor says, if your dog keeps pooping in my yard, I'm going to call the puppy pound. So the neighbor puts a shock collar over the dog's neck, and then there's this
invisible
fence.
fence.
The invisible electric fence. Boom. So every time the dog goes to the fence in the beginning, boom, shocked, pain. Boom, shocked, pain. Boom, shocked, pain. And then after a while, it starts building that neural pathway in the dog's mind of every time I go over here, pain happens. So even when the owner takes the collar off the neck and the electric fence isn't there, it goes, no, I'm afraid.
It's Pavlovian.
I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with us, with little kids. Don't do this, you'll get killed. Don't do this, you'll get hurt. And it starts as children.
Yep.
So imagine You know how ABCs are ingrained in us. I go back to that again. So imagine that as a form of fear ABCs.
Yeah.
Trying to change it when you're 30. No, the little kid has that ingrained inside of them.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So you grew up with that. You moved to LA. You try to find your thing, and it just didn't click. Didn't work.
Didn't click, didn't work. And I was, I had like little success in modeling, was doing videos, commercials, things, but there was nothing consistent. I never had a mentor that says, hey, don't watch all this TV. Don't go party here. Don't do this. Like really read this book and stay in the study.
Focus. Yeah.
So I had no idea. I'd read a book, stop. All this good stuff would happen. When I would stop, all this bad stuff would happen. Not having the awareness, then it got to the point where, can it get any worse? And then my life would get worse. And I kept asking the question, can it get any worse?
Yep.
And then it get worse. Girlfriend breaks up with me. Daughter pretty much disowns me. Mom dying in the hospital. I put on 40 pounds of weight. And I'm not booking any work. Why do I want to be alive? Try to take my life twice. I even failed at that. So
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
But after all of that, I felt like I was trying to swim against the biggest waves ever. And it was August 2011, 3:43 in the morning. And all my life, I've always focused on what I don't want. It was the first time in my life I was like, I was focused on what I want and how I want to feel. And I yelled out. It was like a conscious interrupt. And I was just like, okay, I'm tired of fighting. I don't want to fight anymore. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. I want to be surrounded by nothing but positive people. I just want to inspire people, and I want to make a bunch of money, but I want the money to represent something that I passionately believe in. Just show me a sign. That was only 8 years ago.
Yeah.
A week later, I'm at a gas station and I meet a quote unquote homeless guy. Asked me for money. I said, you have more money than me. And he said, change your mindset, change your life. Boom. That one phrase right there. And then I just start talking to myself. I'm like, change your mindset, change your mindset, change your mind. So if my mind is set on something, then that's why the result is what it is. So if I do different with the same circumstance, then my life will change. And I just kept, it's like a little angel on my shoulder every day. Change your mindset, change your life. Hey, do you want to go to the gym? No, I don't feel like it. Change your mindset, change your life. So I get up and go.
Yeah.
Normally I would take the escalators. Change your mindset, change your life. So I'll take the stairs. Normally, they're like, oh, hey, do you want to go to church? Hell no. Change your mindset, change your life. And then I get up and go. So it's been 8 years of me far removed from, where we as creatures are designed as habitual creatures to carry it out from our childhood domestication. I'm 8 years removed because every single day I'm always trying to find ways to say, change your mindset, change your life, and I'll just do the opposite. And my life now, and all the results is because I simply have done the opposite of everything I would normally do in areas of my life that I wasn't happy.
Wow.
I love it. It's so, it sounds so simple to have somebody else tell that story. Like, just do the opposite. And then I relate it so quickly to people I work with, to my own experience, to the experience Sophie and I have, being married. It's like, you really have to develop this muscle that interrupts you when you get into those automatic shitty habits.
Yeah.
And goes, no, up. You know what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Do the other thing. It just happened to be this morning. I woke up, I did not want to go to the gym this morning. Just didn't. And I sat and I was like slowing down. Normally I would have left 15 minutes earlier, but I'm sitting there, I'm kind of figuring other things I might be able to do instead. Everybody's still asleep. And I remember thinking to myself, like, just get in the car, turn the car on, and you'll feel better the moment you pull back.
Absolutely.
And it works. And you just have to, it's almost like you have to get this internal voice that just says, hey, we know what we're doing right now. It's all good. Just know and flip it.
Yeah, you could have those two different voices, and eventually, I mean, you could tell us if I'm wrong. I was born an optimist, so it's different. I was born like, I just see things, like things came easier to me. I work really hard for them, but you know, my mindset is already picks the other choice, the one that you have to work harder for. My brother is actually the opposite. He's exactly like you, like in all ways. Like he's struggled hard, and same mom, same dad, same lifestyle, same childhood.
It's crazy how that
totally
happens.
different perspectives. His world is victim. Like he was dealt a totally different hand in his mind. We had the same life, and but it feels real.
Yeah.
It feels real to him, and that's all that matters. And mine feels real to me. But it's amazing that, you know, just like I talk about manifestation a lot, and like that's exactly what you're doing. You're like, I want, and you declared it. You declared the life that you were going to manifest in that moment at 3:43 in the morning, August 11 years ago, like, or 9 years ago. You said like
almost 8.
This is what I want.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to work really, really, really hard for, but show me a sign. And the universe wants to show us signs. It's all the time. It's there, but you have to be looking and open to it. Your arms, your heart, everything has to be open to it because it's continuously sending those signals.
Absolutely.
Well,
we have our head down, or we're worried about the wrong thing, or
It's also sending all kinds of signals, right? So it's sending signals that life is terrible. And you can pay attention to those.
Yeah.
And it's sending signals that life is amazing.
Yeah.
You can pay attention to those.
Yeah.
And it's sending signals that life is just kind of meh, and you'll make it through today, but it's not going to be anything special.
Yeah.
And it's like we have to practice. We have to get these habits to orient ourselves to, you know what? Things are not everything worked out exactly the way I wanted to, but I get to pay attention to the pieces because they're kind of directing you to go towards the path where you get more of that and things get easier. The more you do it, the easier things get.
Absolutely. It's like a muscle. I tell people all the time, I was like, listen, if you're so busy, it's like, man, I got to do this and I got to do that. And you don't leave your room in your day
Right.
for like, just like the divine to come in and do what it needs to do according to your dream, you're going to miss it. And they tell people all the time, I was like, this is what it's going to look like in the beginning when you're practicing the new muscle. Okay, there's this giant, I love analogies, by the way. There's this giant ocean and everybody's just, they're astonished by the big whales and all this other stuff. I said, that little bitty, what is it called? The
shrimp
the
or
star
plankton,
shrimp
like,
that did like this. That's what you want to look for. In the beginning, it'll be, you see all these big things right there, but the little right there, it's actually not little. It's surrounded by all the things that you give the most attention to. The little voice, that ain't even little.
Yeah.
However, if I, with my big loud voice, was under a house, a bear, and all this other stuff that was smothering me, you'd be like, what's that? I hear a little sound.
All right.
But I'm screaming loud.
Gotta pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call it my 1% principle. Everybody always looks at outcomes. Like they'll look at where you are now and they'll go like, man, he's lucky. He got it good.
Yep.
But nobody sees the 450,000 steps it took to get there.
No.
And there's an example. This example is just a classic, so I always use it. But like, Thomas Edison, we know him as the inventor of the light bulb, one of the biggest inventors, I think actually the most prolific inventor in the history of humanity. And in his lab, over a period of a few years, it took 10,000 experiments to create a light bulb that functioned. Like a light bulb that would last long enough where you could use it for light. The rest of them burnt out really quickly or exploded, things that wouldn't be able to use. And when people asked Thomas Edison about, what did it feel like to fail at this 10,000 times? He said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I just found 10,000 ways that did not to do this. And so many of us, I ask my people all the time, like, how many of you would try 10,000 times?
Right.
How many of you would try 5,000 times, 1,000 times, 50 times, right? So many of us try to do something. It's really hard the first time. It's not easy. It's not smooth. And we go, that must not be the right fit. Any change, anything magical, anything that you're going to do that is going to create a difference in your life, or in the case of a light bulb, a difference in the universe and our world, it's going to require some fucking effort.
Absolutely.
And you got to show up even when it's uncomfortable. And for you, the first thing, it sounds like, was getting yourself where your mind could focus on what it wants versus what it doesn't want.
Yeah.
And then you started looking at the world and looking for the things that you want.
Absolutely. And you know, it's all a muscle. Somebody commented on one of my things because I had a Forbes interview that came out like 3 days ago. He was like, "Oh yeah, thank you so much." He was like, "Oh yeah, that's easy for you to say. Like you got all this money." I'm like,
Yep.
I've been saying the same. Are we allowed to curse?
Yeah.
I've been saying the same shit for like 8.5 years.
Yeah.
But you know what I was doing 8.5 years ago? I had 125 videos out from my storage while I was living in my storage, not making a dime, talking about the same stuff that I'm talking about today. Nobody was listening, but I was listening. I kept talking about it.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing now is the overflow of every single day, even while I was living in my car, even when I tried to kill myself, even when all these things were happening, I posted every single day and everything is trackable online right now.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing is somebody, you know, Bruce Lee says, fear not the man who practices 1,000 kicks. Fear the man who practices one kick 1,000 times over and over and over and over and over. You're seeing this and you think this is something? Wait for the next 7 years.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I just calculated just because I felt like it, almost 8 years, almost 3,000 days that you've been practicing this, right? And so, and multiple hours per day, it's like you just have to pick a target and go work towards it. And it sucks that everybody sees the outcome and then they talk shit about the outcome.
Yeah.
Because either
Because
they're
of their
jealous
own fear,
or they feel like they're stuck behind
insecurity.
it.
Yeah.
Because for everybody listening right now, there are things you want. And some of us are afraid to call our shot, are afraid to go after that thing because we've never seen it before. It's never played out in our lives. But that's how it always works.
Yeah.
If you don't change the way you talk to yourself, you don't change the way you interact with other people, you don't change your tribe, as one of my other friends just said earlier today, another recording we did, if you don't change the people you surround yourself with, I know what your life is going to look like 10 years from now.
Absolutely.
Exactly like it looks right now.
Yeah.
And if you're unhappy with what's going on, you got to change the way you talk to yourself, got to change the way you interact with other people, and got to change the people you interact with.
Yeah.
Because that is your life. And if you don't start creating real change in those elements, it's going to stay your life. And which is, if you're happy there, by the way, congrats and stick to it and keep doing what you're doing. But if you're not, you got to change it.
Yeah. 100%.
And it can be such a small change too. And I mean, that even that first, what that homeless man told you, like that is the money right there. Like your mindset is everything. Like your mindset, the thoughts you think, it becomes everything else in your entire life. And it's so evident. You can tell when someone like doesn't love themselves and doesn't say nice things to themselves. Like when I'm teaching yoga or anything I'm teaching, like talk to yourself the way you would talk to your best friend. Talk to yourself the way you would speak to someone that you just love so much. Like it's crazy. We have to be coached in that, but we're not taught. No one teaches you how to talk to yourself. It's just a voice that comes because of the things you go through in your life.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
crazy. Ah, yes. It's a good one.
I have I just put a quote, like literally the thing we're talking about. Do you want to read the quote?
Yeah.
There? You are a quote person.
Okay. It's Margaret Thatcher.
No, sorry. Let's edit that out. It's Lao Tzu. It's a quote by Lao Tzu. He's a Chinese philosopher.
Okay. So it's a quote by Lao Tzu. Watch your thoughts. They become your words. Watch your words. They become your actions. Watch your actions. They become your habits. Watch your habits. They become your character. Watch your character. It becomes your destiny.
That's powerful.
Got it.
Thanks, Lau.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I want to talk a little specifically about the actual journey for you because it's a massive one. So you were homeless, living out of your car.
Well, I was houseless.
Houseless.
So I lived in my car.
Yeah. Your car was your home.
Yeah. And my storage unit.
Perfect.
And an abandoned building.
Yeah. So
You had space to spread out.
Yeah.
So you actually had multiple homes.
Yeah.
I love it. You just had a few different places around LA.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? Do you mind digging into that a little bit?
It's two people that are going to answer that question. There's when I was in it, I was so numb with emotions that it's like I was just numb, and I'm like, Why am I here? I don't understand. How can I get out? I don't feel motivated to do anything. And then now when I think about it, as crazy as it sounds, when I look at the metamorphosis of a butterfly, you know, a worm that is, you know, caterpillar that's crawled on the ground for a portion of his life, all of a sudden goes into, it spins a larva and it's in this dark place.
The cocoon, yeah.
Yeah, the cocoon. What I found out is when it's in the cocoon, it doesn't recognize with the butterfly or the caterpillar.
There is no butterfly and there's no
This
caterpillar.
is what I'm saying. However, inside of that dark space is where it's doing the most growing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there's a butterfly that can
emerges,
fly.
yeah.
It emerges.
It has to actually eat itself
Right.
to create the butterfly.
Yeah,
It's
that's the
insane.
gnarliest
It's
part.
dying to its old self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the resurrection.
Yeah.
So me thinking about that, I needed that because if it hadn't have been for that, I wouldn't know what to say on stages with 40,000 people, 30,000 people, and all these interviews and podcasts because the level of strength that it takes to go from country to country to country and say different things, freestyle on the cuff and do all this other stuff with ease and grace. Whenever you see anybody do anything in any sport with ease and grace, they've had thousands and thousands of hours more than anybody who's just doing something.
Yeah.
So in the line of work that I do, transformation, I've had I don't have a lot of like scholar practice, but as far as living practice and wisdom from that life and overcoming that life and guiding people to understand the power so they can use that to march themselves out of that life. The mastery inside of that, it was so perfect for me and I'm so grateful. You know, and it still happens in different forms, in different forms, and I can always
education, you mean?
recognize it.
It's what still happens?
Like when you go into the larva.
Oh,
The
yeah.
transformation.
Because if you want to keep, because the essence of life
gotta
is
keep
Oh, yeah.
growing. You gotta
if
keep
you
growing.
want to keep it, there's no
Totally.
one pill does it forever,
Yeah, yeah.
and you don't want to rest on your wins because if you rest on your wins, you're gonna wake up with a loss.
Yeah.
And so, and I've seen a lot of people, they're winning, and they stop doing the things that it took to get there, and then all of a sudden, the money comes crashing down, the relationships, the family, go to jail and all this other stuff. And I never understood that. But then when I was in it and I was like, wait, no, I recognize this feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
Some things, why is this not growing? I'm doing the same things. Well, you have an iPhone 10. You don't have an iPhone 1. You let go of the feature and you let go of the features,
Yeah.
upgrade.
Do the same with life.
Yeah, it's the exact same process with life.
Yeah.
And
Upgrade your life.
I don't even think it gets easier in some ways. Like I think it's interesting because this is what we talk about all the time. We're constantly upgrading. We're constantly up leveling. It's uncomfortable. It's always going to be uncomfortable, but at least you can trust it. For me, at least, I'm in a place where like it's like the muscle memory. Doesn't make it easy. It's not easy to run a marathon for a marathoner,
Right.
But it becomes easier in that it is in your body.
Yeah.
And it is part of that muscle memory. So now when I'm transforming, when I'm letting go of a friendship, no matter how painful it is, I can trust that on the other side, when one door closes, 5 open.
Yeah.
I can trust the net will appear if I
Yeah.
leap, but I just have to leap. It doesn't mean the leap is easy.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's less painful if I fall. It doesn't mean that like making mistakes are fun or losing people is fun. You know, it's not fun to eat yourself and start again.
Right.
But you have to just keep doing it and keep moving forward. And it feels good. It feels good to evolve. It's not fun to be stagnant. That feeling of being stagnant sucks.
I currently just went through, I mean, I'm just coming out of one. I'm just coming out of
me
a
too.
larva right now.
Same. We're inside of it.
A week ago.
Oh,
Because my fiance is equally, if not as more powerful as I am.
that's always nice.
But she just moved in.
Yep.
to my house.
Boom.
That I own, that I designed, that I developed.
Yep.
And I've worked so hard to have my stuff.
Till this point.
And to this point,
We're gonna have to do
And
some
now
reframing.
what?
It's no longer your house.
I know, but this is what I'm saying.
It's now the collective you.
So my process was,
oh shit.
it was, and she's not like one of these women that's like, okay,
Passive.
She is just like me.
Yeah.
Like super alpha and can easily slip into the feminine. So it's like, it's a nice dance of the ocean. However, in this particular context, let's just say that a very strong man named Garrain 2 weeks ago was on his knees, buckling, crying. Oh my God, what the fuck is happening?
What have I
And then
decided
you're wondering
to
about
do?
the other stuff. You're like, oh my God, is this the right person for me? Did I make the right choice? When really the thing that's bothering you is she wants to get rid of that fucking couch and bring in something else. And you're like, you can't. No, this is my house.
She was like, I don't feel.
Do you know what it took to get that lamp?
This is what I said.
We've never been through
And
that.
she goes,
No, we just hear like stories.
yeah,
We're perfect.
And she goes, and it was really beautiful because I at the moment, because you can't see the picture while you're in the frame again, I was fighting to stay inside of what I had been in when I'm asking for growth.
Yeah.
She was like, I don't see anywhere where I can fit in. I was like, okay, well, let's just buy another house.
Yeah.
And it was getting to that.
Yeah.
And I was like, we both can afford it. She makes her own money, so do I. And it's like, together it's powerful. But then I realized what a lesson. I said, I know, because I'm holding on to something. And I always know that every time I'm holding that hard, there's a universe inside waiting for me, like the higher version of Garrain. And in that moment, I said, this is it.
Yep.
So you said something earlier, and I think I want to reframe it a little bit. You said you can't see yourself when you're in the frame.
You can't see the picture while you're in the frame.
That's true, except that you can know that you're always in some frame.
Yeah.
And so what you can develop a consciousness of is exactly what you just said happens sometimes, which is like when Sophie and I fight, when you have that moment you're holding on to go, hold on, what's going on here? Because when we're in conflict like this, there's something way bigger than what we're fighting about.
Yeah.
And then you get to pause and say, okay, let me play out what's happening. Oh, my house, you moved into my house. This is how things are supposed to be. Oh, I've been here before. I've had these conversations. This is mine. This is the way things... Last time I had it, I was talking about how my life is terrible and it sucks and this is what I don't want. But I shifted, and when I shifted, my life opened up. And so I think that is something you can practice, not understanding yourself in the moment, but knowing that you need to look at what you're saying. And
this is exactly what happened. But I acknowledge Blair, my fiance.
Dear Blair. Huh? Dear Blair.
Yeah, no,
we're sorry.
I acknowledge Blair because in that moment, she recognized what I was turning to little 5-year-old Garrain.
Yeah.
And she became this motherly, loving type figure. And she started, her tone changed. She started talking to me different. She was like, it's okay. We can do this. And I was like, yo, I'm about to marry this lady. And so inside of my surrender, I saw her power. And I was just like, the way she said, she started talking to me different. She was like, how would you feel? Instead of, can we do this? It's like, how would you feel about moving this? You don't use it. And if you don't like it, we can always do it. We can always put it back. We went room by room by room. And at the end, my house looks so, you could tell it has that feminine touch to it. You could just tell because the people that come over, they're like, yo, something different about your house. The energy is different. I was like, baby, you're the shit.
I know. Isn't that the best?
It was okay. You win.
Yeah.
It was so awesome.
Always
That's
elevate.
what love does to you.
Always elevate. And then when you find somebody that powerful, they'll stand next to you even when you're being a little shit.
Yeah.
It elevates you. It elevates them because they get something from the interaction as well. She gets to understand how to work and dance within these difficult circumstances. And then she gets to elevate the environment. And then, rising tide, right? So now both of your lives are better independently and together,
Absolutely.
which is beautiful.
That's what we want.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. We'll have to have the two of you on one day as a couple, because that's
We
always
love doing
powerful.
that. Yeah.
So you went from homeless, but you spent some time in. You did some time.
Yeah. But I was in prison before I went.
So first
To
prison.
the car.
Yeah. So this is 15 years of like, what the hell am I doing with my life?
You were actually, how many years ago were you in prison?
It's from 2002 to 2005.
What about you?
All right. I only did 1 year, so 2002, 2003.
Only? I only did 1 year.
I know.
You did 1 year.
Yeah.
Same year though, you went in.
2002, 2000, yeah.
2002,
late November
2002.
2002, I went in. And late summer 2003, I got out. And that to me was that, like you said, you got what you needed in living in your car and kind of moving around. For me, it was jail that did it, because a lot of time to think.
Yep.
Because, everybody, not going to jail sucks. Like the going in and the processing and all that stuff they show in the movie, that stuff sucks. But the stuff that sucks the most is just being bored out of your mind. Like being unable to do the things you want to do and having to fill your day with very little. So there's a lot of time in your head. And and the one decision I made when I left was, I'm never coming back.
Yeah.
I don't care what I have to do. That is one place I'm never coming back to. Was your experience similar? Or?
So I was like I was in Europe. I was in France. And
What did you do to go to prison?
smuggling drugs.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was running across the
Were you
border.
muling or?
Huh?
You were like, that was
So-
like a job, or it was a one-off?
Nah, I did it like 7, 8 times.
Okay.
They were paying me 4,000 pounds when dollars were like $2.3. And I just do it within 2 months. So somebody's like 20 years old. I'm like, yo, I ain't never had this much fast cash this easy. And I was driving, never looking in the trunk, because I didn't even want to have that on my conscience.
Sure.
When they stopped me at the border on the 8th time, and they x-rayed the car, and it was the first time they'd ever done that.
No.
And I saw the x-rays. I saw these little shade bricks inside the car. They opened up the Congo drums. They were empty. They took the axe so they can open up the inside of it, and they pulled out these little yellow bricks. And
Opium? What was it?
It ended up being 6.2 kilos of heroin, bro.
Shit.
And I was like, if I had a known that's what it was, I would have never done it. But I just didn't even want to think about it. I was like, money motivated. Let me go get this money.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? The awareness thing. Like,
So, yeah. So I'm in there. And for the first month was the most difficult time for me, because I never went out when the other inmates went out. I just stayed in my cell. And I was considered a high priority risk. So they put me in a cell by myself. And all I did was just watch the clock. So it's just like watching the clock for an entire month. And then I said, you know what? What can I do in here that I wouldn't normally do out there? So I started reading. And I read over 275 books. I taught myself fluent French. I stopped using my dominant hand, my right hand, started using my non-dominant hand for everything. I know now, operated a different part of my brain. And it taught me how to adapt to anything. Because, as we're older, we do things by habit.
Yep.
This one, I was like relearning all this stuff. And then I in one of those books was a book called The Power of Positive Thinking by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. I read that book, and inside of that book, I just felt my brain going, just getting calm and calm and calm. It got to the point where I was meditating every day. I started memorizing my dreams in specific detail, and I wrote down all my dreams. By the way, half of my dreams I've already lived, but they're happening like this year, last year, and things like that, but in different times, like Greek, Roman time and things like that. So while I was in there, I wrote over 275 letters. 3 people wrote me back. My daughter's mother, my mom, my brother, maybe 3 or 4 people. So I had to learn how to love myself because no one was going to come save me. And inside of reading all those books, I started remembering, I love to sing. I love drawing. I love and I got back to everything that I loved. And follow this story. I got back to everything that I loved. They allowed us to watch movies once a month. Tim Robbins from Shawshank Redemption came on, and he was like, they can take everything they want away from me. They can't take away my mind. And I made that mean, so as long as I'm doing everything that I love, then I'm free.
Yeah.
In that moment, I became a free man. They sentenced me to 12 years, so I didn't even think I was going to get out. But when I became free, I started acting different.
Yeah.
I started speaking different. My behavior, because when I was out, when I was free, living in America, I used to say, I'm so far away from where I'm supposed to be. I feel like I'm in prison. And then I was so far away from where I was supposed to be in prison. But while I was in prison, I found my freedom.
Yeah.
And it was in everything that I loved.
Yeah.
So when I was doing that, I was running within a month. The whole entire unit was running with me outside. The warden brought me in. They said, since you've been running, there's been less stabbings, less drug deals, less people getting jumped, not knowing what adding value was.
Sure.
So just mind. So take this. Imagine the value that I'm adding, not only to myself, but to inside of there. Was a baby that was inside of a womb. So when a baby's inside, you know this. You had 3. When baby's inside of a womb, the mother must have it must be in a favorable environment, outside and inside.
You hope.
So if it's a favorable environment and you're healthy and things like that, 9 times out of 10 you'll have a healthy baby. If it's an unfavorable environment, drugs, alcohol, not in the stress, 9 times out of 10, your baby, like something's gonna happen to your baby, or you'll have a miscarriage. While I was in there, pretend I'm a baby.
Yeah.
In a womb. My value is the favorable environment. So I grow it so much when the womb is so big, what's produced on the inside is now produced on the outside. So I grew so much in freedom and my mindset and the value and all that
Your
stuff
energy.
was too big. It was way too big for where I was. So out of nowhere, I'm going to just say out of nowhere.
Yep.
Just so happened after I became a free man, out of nowhere, Jones, you're free to go home.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
The drugs are fake.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah.
The drugs are
They
fake.
tested it 3 times, 6.2 kilos of heroin.
Fake
All
heroin.
of a sudden, I'm being a free man. Drugs are fake. You're free to go home.
That's crazy.
Wow. But you were there for 3 years?
2.5 years.
It took 2.5 years to test it?
2.5 years. But
Man,
this
I
is
wish
what
your
I'm
lucky
saying.
number. I wish your lucky number was 1, because then it'd be shorter.
But think about this.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I'm in there for a whole year before I even got sentenced. When I got sentenced, they sentenced me to 2014. It's not like America. Wow. So I'm in there not thinking I'm getting out. But once I became freedom.
Sure.
Everything about me was
Yeah.
freedom because I was doing everything that I love. They couldn't take that away from me.
Yeah. You didn't even belong there anymore. They're like, you're not even being
You're
punished.
free to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Amazing.
So I it's like be before you become. I assumed the position of freedom regardless of my circumstances. Here's the thing. You got it when you were in there. I wasn't aware of what was happening until 2011, 2012. So I got around like mentors and they're like, oh no, you got to keep reading. You got to keep doing the thing.
I got it when I walked out. It's the same thing as what you said before. You can't see the picture when you're in the frame.
Yeah.
I walked out. I'll never forget this. Downtown LA. You walk out. There used to be maybe there's still a Denny's. Like it took hours to get released, but you walk out of this steel door. Like I just spent at the time it was like 5 or 6 months in this house, in this massive like building, stuck in a cell, all the craziness that happens in there. And I walk out the door. I wouldn't let myself think I have to do whatever I can to stay out of here because I was in there. So I wouldn't let myself think that while I was inside. But the moment the door closed behind me, I knew. I just said, I'm never walking in that fucking door again. Like I'll wash dishes, I'll clean toilets. You tell me what I got to do so that never happens again, and I'm in. I wouldn't, you probably recognize this too. You did a lot of the things that I hear and the actions that you took. There's a real magic to them, right? Because you can give into the boredom. You can just give into it. I would try to read books, but like LA County Jail does not have amazing availability of books. So I would read like erotica novels. I would read whatever half torn books. Like I would just get the second half of the book because the first half was torn, and I would just start reading because it was like, I can't just sit here for another 7 hours. I can't do it. I'll make fucking sandwiches. I'll do whatever you let me do. I just can't just sit here. So I would just in the moment, and I wouldn't let myself think of the next phase until I got out, because I couldn't. I love that you had these dreams, even maybe when you were in there. I wouldn't let myself dream of what it would be like on the outside until I got out.
Got it. That's powerful.
It's and that happens to me a lot in life. Like I'll call it like pseudo trapped in the current situation that I'm in. And then sometimes, that's what I love about my relationship with Sophie. Sometimes like a little ray of sunshine comes in and goes, and I go, oh, wait, there's something outside of this. And that's when I crack open the window. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize there's like a whole world outside of it. And it expands your knowledge of what is even possible. Man, the drugs were fake. Yeah. That's insanity.
It wasn't all 100% fake, but it wasn't enough
to get you.
And for the amount that I was in,
right.
I had already done the time. You're free to go.
I love it. Thank God that those guys who gave you the shit were shiesty and had fake drugs. Okay, so we're gonna fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
The stuff we're talking about right now is like 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
You're now here.
Yep.
And now you take what you do is you take the lessons that you've learned and that you keep learning, I assume. Yeah. And you share them with people.
Absolutely.
What does it feel like? What environment are you doing it in? Where can people find you to connect to the lessons?
So, man, it's crazy because the whole entire time I've been on social media and I've posted every day. It's in those moments. So every time I had a breakthrough, just people, they're like, yo, man, your followers, they're like different. They're not just like regular followers. But go ahead, I like the shirt that you're wearing. I'm going to follow you. They're like die-hard followers. Yeah. I was like, half of them then been with me from when I was living in my car. So, so I just been sharing. I was vulnerable online when nobody was doing that kind of stuff and just sharing it from my storage unit, and it's all online. Okay. So, through this process, people would just reach out to me and they're just like, oh, we want you to come speak at this juvenile. We want you to come speak to, these prisoners. We want you to come speak at Pepperdine University to young business. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And now it's to the point where, I had to stop. It was so much stuff coming and like high paid stuff coming. Yeah. I'm like, yo, I'm saying no to this, but this thing is happening. Yeah. So right now, because I realized there wasn't I couldn't be everywhere. That's why the book is coming. Because now, and all the lessons that I've learned, through it, there's so much stuff that I could write 10 books. Sure. So I'm putting a little bit in this book right here.
Yep. But to write 10 books, you got to write the first one, right?
Right. I could write a book on me finally getting that. Yeah. But so my book, my website, GarrainJones.com. I'm always, I do lots of, I do one-on-one coaching, but now they pay me a lot of money to do that because like a lot of people were coming. And so I work with a lot of people in the tech world. A lot of people in the tech world just need to keep their head on the swivel. Not everybody, but a lot of them. And
you're engaged? And you're engaged?
Oh, I'm the most single person in the past. I was that guy. Yeah. The single guy.
Been there.
I mean, the guy that's like, you don't want to hang out with Garrain if you're in a if you're in a relationship and then you go out with Garrain,
you're not crazy. In a relationship anymore.
So I was that guy, and I didn't realize that a certain part of my heart was closed because I had never been exposed to that part. Yeah. And so when learning how to be with a woman by being so, becoming the kind of person that my daughter would then start to trust, the only person that could even get in was her, and she wouldn't even accept anything less of me. So 15 years, no relationship. And then it was like, all of a sudden,
you got to man up.
You know what I'm saying? But I didn't even know that. A guy named Steve Stern and Pippa, they were like, you know, you're good looking. You can get any girl you want. They said, and I was like, pretty much. They said, now get a date with your daughter. Oh my! But that was like the change your mindset, change your life. I'm like, oh, she's a girl. The time that I was spending with my daughter, I was learning about women, and I didn't know it. And so when I was doing like the spiritual psychology and going through all these courses, relationships courses, 10-day silent retreats, everything, it all boiled down to me learning about a portion of myself which was closed, and my daughter was like, once it was open, it was open. One quick story. I read a book called When God Winks by Squire Rushnell, and there's a section on soulmates. I skipped the section 13 times because I was like, nope, I don't want anything to do with that. I finally decided to read it 3 years ago. And I wrote the attributes that I wanted in a woman. I wrote all 62 down, and I wrote how I wanted to feel in the relationship, and the top 5 places that I have yet to look that I would meet this person. Top one was a personal development seminar. Forgot I had it. Then I went to a personal development seminar like 3 years ago, and I just kept doing these things, and somebody who I already knew, I knew her in a different part of her life where she was doing drugs and alcohol and everything. All of a sudden, this stripped version of the real her, we ended up getting into a relationship and just being friends first. And then I was like, oh, I just found my book. I found my soulmate book. She was like, read it. I read all 100. I read all 62 attributes, how I wanted to feel, and where I would meet this person. It was circled personal development seminar. And when I looked up, Blair's face was like, and I attracted
That's awesome.
my other whole. We don't say half because she's not half a person. Neither am I. My other whole.
I love it.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
you manifested that. And you were so clear.
Oh, super. You put if you want to go to that address and you've never been there, you got to put a specific address in the GPS system.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work to go like, where's your friend live? Well, he lives in the West LA area.
Yeah, I'm just going to go drive somewhere.
It's crazy how easy it really can be when the timing's right, when you've really done the work, when you've really manifested. Like, we've been looking for a house for what, like a year? When did your mom come? Like last
year? We started talking about getting a house 5 years ago.
Sure, but like this round.
Sophie never had to fill out any paperwork and whatnot.
Well, no, like so. the manifestation of the house we're getting now started a year ago.
Yeah, we weren't ready for this house. We weren't looking at this kind of house
That's
5 years ago. Yeah.
Like and we have to ask for what you receive, right?
Absolutely.
So about a year ago, we started planting the seeds, and we kept kind of banging our head against it and trying to find back doors and back windows and trying to figure out how to get in.
Doors.
Right? Not even like the doggy door. Like we were just like anything. We'll take whatever. And there was a lot of force, and there was a lot of intention, and there was a lot of work and sweat and tears. And this time we came home from a trip on July 4th. Real estate agent met us on July 4th. She just got home from Russia. We just got home from Israel. See a house. Not a great fit. 3 days later, he finds another one. It's exactly the house we want, exactly the layout we want, exactly the thing we've been dreaming of. We're in escrow now. It's been effortless for the most part. We just slid. It's just you opened your eyes and saw Blair.
Yeah.
As I am even explaining this house to like my mom or my friend, like, oh, that's a lot of space. I'm like, no, literally every single room is taken by a thing, a person,
100%.
our work. It is perfect. It is exactly the space we need for this moment in time.
Yes.
And it was relatively effortless because we did the work already in manifesting and in setting the tone and in writing out the 62 attributes of what we need, which is like, we're never going to find a house like that in LA, we said to ourselves. Well, yeah, then you're not going to find the house in LA that you're looking for.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so, again, those signs are everywhere. If you just start looking for the signs that what you're asking for is really being played out, you'll start seeing it. I love it. Well, now I gotta. Let's put up some of the specific like talks you have online and stuff like that in the show notes, so people can start getting exposed to the work you're doing, because I love it. It's always powerful when somebody has a story, because then it's so much easier to relate and empathize with the people you talk to.
Absolutely.
Regarding the struggles they're going through, and I love it. Thank you so much for being on here today. We ask everybody who comes here 5 questions to wrap this up. So we'll kind of get started.
Let's do it.
The first question is, what's the best advice you've ever received? You might have already said it.
Change your mindset, change your life.
Yeah.
I had a feeling that was going to be the one. You already revealed it earlier. I love it. It sounds like there's been a whirlwind these last 8 years of your life. What's been the proudest moment to date?
The proudest moment to date, I say when my daughter said "I love you" for the first time, but it wasn't encouraged by her mom. She said it on her own, and she's just like, "I love you," and I was just like, when I tell you I melted.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard that before in that way, in that tone, from that human.
And you earned
Who you
it.
care about that much.
Yeah. And you earned it. It didn't just come like you love your baby when they're born.
Right.
But like you had to work really hard for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's magic, man. I love it.
What has been one of your hardest moments?
One of my hardest moments. My hardest moment is learning how to remember who I am deep down inside and loving myself. By far the hardest. And we're born into it.
Always.
We're born into it. Just forget it's there. So there's actually no breakthrough. It's you're breaking back into who you already are. And the break in.
Yeah. So is that something that's still going on kind of regularly, or do you feel like at some point you reach the point where you can pretty quickly snap back to, oh, no, I'm good?
Oh, no, I can, because the momentum is like the locomotive train now, and Superman trying to stop. Like the momentum is going that way. It's not on the last 20 something years. So I can get back on the horse really quick. Here's the thing. If I'm aware of it, it doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that sneaks up on you that you're not aware of.
It's the automatic stuff, yeah.
So the automatic stuff, it's me catching it and I'm like, oh, I recognize this. Okay, let's do something about it.
Yeah, so good.
Any self-care rituals that just you live by that you want to share? Yes.
You're speaking on my favorite topic. Oh, self-care rituals. So I have a thing called the Panda Power Hour.
I love it.
Called the Power Hour. So Power Hour is, the brain doesn't respond to big progress or little progress. It just responds to progress, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. So my process starts at night before I go to bed, and I write a list of things that has to do with my mind, my body, my spirit. So like wake up, do daily affirmations, do some push-ups to increase the serotonin in my body, acknowledge people for something great that they did, take my healthy smoothie. But doing like I put 30 things on the list. And I'm looking at the list before I go to bed. And then I look at a picture of my daughter, look at a picture of my fiance, look at things that I love, and then I look at the list. Look at the things that I love, then I look at the list, so that the list now, it takes on the same energy of the things that I love, when I get to that state, I go to sleep. When I go to sleep, it's already working. I wake up. My number one job is to see how many I can get done within the first hour. So wake up, progress. My shake, progress. Push-ups, progress. Affirmations, progress. So within the first hour, I've probably gotten 18, 19, 20 things done when most people get 5.
Yeah. If that.
If that.
I mean, some people wake up, check their phone, and keep going.
Absolutely. So imagine the momentum that the rest of my day has. And I've done a project where, let me see what happens if I don't do this. Night and day difference.
Yeah.
You start the car with the engine, it goes 5 minutes, and then it settles into the drive. Okay, so you're the same.
Yeah.
So how are you starting your own personal engine?
Yes.
Mind, body, and soul.
Love it.
Beautiful.
My ritual starts in the morning, but maybe I got to start the earlier
before.
day. I love
Pretty
it.
cool.
All right. So this podcast is called Ignited. What we do is called Ignited. What ignites you?
What ignites me? There's so many things. When I can do things that I absolutely that bring me a lot of joy and watch other people have fun through it. Hiking. I love hiking, whether it's 500 people, because I go every week at Runyon Canyon. I take a group of people, whether it's 500 people or one, meaning myself.
Yeah.
Nature, anything that has to do with the elements, swimming, biking, running, something where I can stimulate myself. And when other people are like, oh my God, that ignites me so much. I have so much fun doing that.
That's beautiful.
Awesome. I love it. Man, thanks again for joining us. I love this. This is my favorite thing about doing podcasts. Is like just meeting and interacting with really cool people.
Real connection.
Yeah.
I can't wait for our people to find out about you and maybe have more people join you on your hikes. We'll see.
Yeah. Look, every Sunday, 9:30 a.m.
Awesome.
Meet us at the Fuller entrance.
Yes.
Love it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, staying with us. We're going to have a lot of Garrain stuff in the show notes. Go check it out. Love you all. If you like this, screenshot it, tag him, tag us. Let us know which part you love the most. And we will see you next week.
See y'all later.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Ignited podcast. We were so happy to have you along for this ride. Please go and subscribe to this. Leave us a review. We love hearing from you. And if you want more, don't forget to go to ignited.com, where all the podcast episodes are available with show notes and so many of the little details and links from each one of these interviews. And you can look at all the future events that we have going on, all the things that make Ignited so special, even beyond this recording. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.